Hello, I want to share some thoughts from this book, Religion and Your Wellbeing. The purpose of this book is to help us utilize religious indoctrination to promote human dignity and well-being. For instance, when we talk about godly values, morality, we talk about God's commandments or laws. When we talk about some virtues, values, principles, what may come to mind is that these are meant to trap us. So these are means of setting us up to do something wrong, means of setting us up to sin, testing us to sin, so God can punish us with some misfortune, with some tragedy, or punish us in hell. Or more appropriately, we may think that these values and laws and commandments are meant to protect the human being from evil, to ensure our safety, to ensure our security, to ensure our well-being. So when you see the police officer on the road, depending on how you think, you are going to be thinking that that law enforcer is there to trap you with some laws, to make you break some laws, so that he or she can punish you. Or you may think the law enforcer is there to protect you, to ensure your safety, your well-being, and your security. So if you are asked to wear seatbelt, and there are laws to ensure that, and there are law enforcers to ensure that, you're not going to be thinking that the law on the wearing of seatbelt is meant to trap you, to punish you. You're going to be thinking that the wearing of seatbelt protects you from danger. When you get to have an accident, you are more protected when you're wearing seatbelts. And you are not doing this for the police officer or the law enforcer. You are doing it for yourself. So it is not a case that parents give their children laws and some commandments, some instructions, because they want to find an excuse to punish them, to inflict some pain through punishment. That's not why parents give children instructions or laws. It's because they love them and they don't want them to destroy themselves. So these laws are meant to protect them from evil, to ensure the children's well-being, their safety, and then their security. That is why it is not right to think so negatively of God, that when He's giving you some laws, some commandments, the purpose of that is that He wants to set you up to fail, to do the wrong thing, so He can punish you with some misfortune or with some mishap. Now, rather, we know that God is a good and a loving God who cares about human well-being, and He cannot conclude that God loves the human being so much. If He protects us from evil, He protects us from the devil, yet He doesn't give us any instructions, any guidelines, any protocols, any manual for us to follow, so that we can be protected to ensure our well-being. So when God says, love your neighbor as yourself, you are going to be thinking that God is trying to encourage the collective well-being of the human being, because the belief is that God's values and laws are summed up as loving your neighbor as yourself and doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. So we know that love does no harm to the neighbor. And if you love your neighbor, you're not going to commit adultery, you're not going to steal from your neighbor, you're not going to commit murder or bear false witness or covet. And many other laws or commandments of God are summed up as love your neighbor as yourself. Now, obviously, what God is trying to encourage is the collective well-being of the human being, because He's the God of all humanity. And when we talk about neighbor in the Bible, when Jesus was asked who our neighbor is, He gave the story of a good Samaritan. That is talking about strangers interacting. All right, somebody injured, someone also going to somewhere else. And these are strangers. And one stranger came to the rescue of another stranger. So it is to suggest that your neighbor is not necessarily your next door neighbor, your family member, your friend, your colleague, somebody belonging to your political party, someone from your hometown, from your tribe or ethnicity, from your race. It's not talking about a person fitting your stereotype as your neighbor. So in the eyes of God, your neighbor is the human being. Whether that human being is on your continent, or is on another continent, is in your country, or is in another country, that is your neighbor. Because God does not think in terms of stereotypes, in terms of continents, in terms of regions or tribes or ethnicity. He is the God of the universe, the God of the earth, the God of all humanity. So when he's talking about well-being, he's thinking about the well-being of the entire humanity, the collective well-being of the entire humanity. That is why when we talk about godly values, we see godly values as more supreme than all other values because it thinks about the collective well-being of the entire humanity. So when I'm promoting godly values, in my mind, I'm not trying to create the impression that I am perfect and I want to impose some laws on you. In my mind, I'm trying to promote human dignity and well-being because I believe that promoting godly values can promote human dignity and well-being.